Salve YouTube, and welcome to another different kind of video in my Rome 2 online battle series. As you saw from the thumbnail, this was a yellow video, and what yellow videos are going to be, as opposed to red videos being, regular casts, blue videos showing you builds in particular, yellows kind of mix both of them, and it's going to give you an army building perspective. So before every yellow battle that you see on this channel, you're going to see a little bit of the thought process as to why I picked the army before we even go into the battle. So, in this battle, I was going to be playing on Carthago. Of course, I won't reveal the results in this beginning part. I'm just going to show you what I was thinking. So, the map was Carthago. My opponent picked Egypt. And I had gotten a request recently for more Rome usage because it seems that from the perspective of someone who doesn't own the game, Rome appears that it's a little bit of an underused faction, just due to Egypt and barbarians being used so much. So I figured, let's do this. So the first thing that goes through my mind is, what is this type of map? It's Carthago. Carthago has a big hill in the center. You don't have vision of your opponent's army from the beginning of the game. So I could use this to my advantage in either trying to rush my opponent with a very strong kind of infantry-focused build, but he is playing as Egypt, and the predictable thing for me to do would be to bring some, maybe Praetorian guards or a mix of my legionary troops, throw in some shock cav, maybe a couple of elephants, maybe a couple of skirmish units. That would be basically the standard, but I figured to myself, this Egypt player has a very good chance of bringing a very heavy infantry corps. He's probably not going to have a lot of money on his cav, just because he's going to at least bring 6 Galatians. I know this almost certainly because of the map, or at least I can predict this with a good degree of accuracy, and I can also expect him to have a good amount of shock cavalry. But since this map has kind of like you don't really use half of it in the fight, and you're limited to this top area when it comes to the main engagements, I figured if I choose to go kind of like a heavy skirmish route, as long as I protect my front from my enemy's cav, I should be able to play a skirmish style very well. So instantly I start thinking of, okay, what kind of style do I want to bring? And I want to do a aggressive skirmish style that kind of eats at the enemy from different places all at once. So I'm gonna go with a warrior general. I do this a lot just because of Warcry and Intimidate. This allows me to find wavering units that are strong in number and strong in morale, but that are somehow wavering, and then I hit them with a double ability. They will ride off the battlefield, and most of the time they will come back, but the fact that the fact that they rout in the beginning gives me time to kind of clear up my build. So I'm not going with infantry at all. I'm going to try to surprise my opponent, and my skirmishing corps is going to be 6 of these slingers. So this is what I started with, and I looked at these slingers and I thought, okay, that's a pretty big investment, about 3,000 talents there, as you saw, 2,500 abouts. So this is going to be something that's very expensive, and if my opponent brings up, ends up going something that's entirely Ptolemaic cav, camel, archer, I might have a little bit of trouble, but there's always these mind games going on with builds, and you've got to decide quickly. So I picked something and I went with it. Next, I'm going to go with 6 units of these Soci Equites Extraordinaire. This is a very good shock cav unit, guys. Very cost effective at 640 talents. For example, you'll see here that if I buy, let's clear the army, right? And let's buy 4 of these guys. Look at the money. If I go to Egypt and I pick 4 of these guys, look at the money. You're saving about 1,000. So that is about equal in price, and a skilled player can easily make 4 Soci Extraordinary work against 3 Ptolemaic cav, as long as you can ensure that they're not all getting full charges on you. So you charge fully maybe with 1, pull out with the others, do some flanking, but we'll see. We'll see in the main battle. So my opponent's army actually ended up being something like this. He had, actually I'm not going to show you guys, but let's continue talking about the army building stage. And if you feel that this army building isn't for you, I've obviously included annotation on the video that allows you to skip forward right into the battle action, in case this isn't your cup of tea. So there we go. Legatus Warrior, 6 Soki Extraordinary, 3 Auxiliary Balearic Slingers, and I actually went with 2 more Cav units, 2 more Praetorian Cav. And of course, you need the elephant support. So this was the core of my army. I was very convinced and happy with this, and I had 1,500 left, and I was thinking to myself, there's one thing on this battle that might be very frustrating for me, and that's elephant camel use that goes together. And the way I'm going to deal with this is I'm going to actually bring 3 of these auxiliary Numidian cavalry. And the reason I bring these guys is just because they have flaming shot, and I think they can fire. Yeah, they can fire while moving, resistant to fatigue. This is going to allow me to either throw these guys at enemy camels long enough for my my auxiliary slingers to do the damage, or it's going to allow me to quickly flame enemy elephants, especially if I rush these guys up forward. Sometimes people on Carthago will come at you with their elephants at the front of their army and try to shock you out of it. And if I bring these guys at the top and I can drive those guys amok, then that would be something that's fantastic. I'll upgrade my general just for lulz. This is the army composition I chose to go with. And you can see it's very focused on trying to skirmish with your enemy. And because of how much cav and mounted units I have, the African elephants are really going to be there to pin my opponent's infantry forces down long enough for my cav to be able to wrap up his cav. I'm confident I'll have a cav superiority, just because there isn't just much in the game that can handle 2 Praetorian cav and 6 Soki Equites that well, unless it's like 8 Royal Cataphracts or something. So that was the logic for the build. It would have changed if it wasn't Egypt. It would have changed if it wasn't Carthago. Each map and faction dictates my decisions, and sometimes I decide to go with something regardless of my opponent's faction. That's kind of a more internal tactical way of playing it that you might, get away with on ladder, but when you're playing on tournaments, you want to be doing this kind of map analysis in your head, and hopefully you want to even have some of those before you even start the game. So now we're going to get right into the game. Right, why isn't it showing up? I am pretty sure I saved it. The battle replay list is just broken. Like, you can't get tons of battle here. The numbering is all messed up for me too, because I can't see what's the thing that I did most recently. Alright, why can't I see it here? Hopefully it's gonna be this autosave. Yes, it is. Alright, let's go ahead and jump right into that. So, this is what my opponent ended up bringing. 6 Galatians. I expected this. Didn't bring as much Ptolemaic cav as I thought. Got 1 chariot, 1 of these thorax swords, 3 slingers, and this highly upgraded Egyptian infantry. That was a peculiar choice. Let's check if slow motion works. Yes. Okay. So, you've seen my army on the in the first section, but in case you've skipped and you're here, I've got 6 auxiliary Balearic slingers, 6 Soki Equites, 2 Praetorian cav, 2 elephants, a legatus, a warrior legatus, and 3 auxiliary Numidian cavalry. So, the point of this army is to try and prevent Egypt from using their morale buffeting effects, and to use the fact that this map is very one-directional to my advantage. So I take a quick scout at my opponent. I'll be honest and say I didn't actually spot the chariots right on the get-go. When I saw his build, I saw very quickly that he didn't have enough cav. I saw very quickly that he had lots of infantry that was coming towards me at high speed, and this is why I'm going to decide and ought to send all my elephants to the left flank. I'm sending my skirmish cav to the left to screen my elephants' advance. I've got some Praetorian cavalry in here, and look at what role these guys are going to be playing in this battle, guys. This is going to be very huge, at least for Roman cavalry. And then I've got these 6 shock cav. I'm actively seeking a cavalry engagement here. I'm trying to pull my opponent towards me. But notice how I'm going to start instantly trying to surround him. And if I can get his guys to be chasing after my skirmishers and time it properly, I can get my elephants to come in at the right time. So he gets away with some pila throws here. Kills some of my men. His slingers are taking some shots. My slingers are still a little bit too far back. At this stage, everyone has full HP. This is really bad. I'm not really facing my enemy. But again, these guys, I basically brought them to combat elephants and camels, but I'm not going to see lots of that in this battle. So, now my opponent has clearly stopped moving forward. I can't wait any longer though. I need to be active, and look what I'm going to do. I'm issuing attack orders with my elephants, and I'm going to follow that up with Praetorian Cavalry charges. At the same time, I'm sending my shock cav that way. In come the elephants. And look, it's going to be an elephant Praetorian cav combined attack. And look how quickly those Galatians are falling. And it's going to be the same here. I'm going to slam them this way. Cavalry engagements are going to start. I'm going to have really good charges on lots of his units. And I'm flanking with these two. And I've got two more coming in now. That fight is going really good for me. And look at the mayhem my guys have caused. He's got the chariots here. He's trying his hardest to get the chariots through. And now look what's going to happen. He's going to move his chariots, all his chariots toward my slingers. I see this as instantly, and I'm like, oh no. These chariots are going to give me trouble. And I actually am going to throw my general at this chariot unit. That's how desperate I am. I need to get them stopped. My general took a beating from that charge, but I'm trying my best here. I need to stop these chariots from doing the damage. And I'm pulling everybody in different directions. I'm trying my hardest to not get my guys caught, because if you look at the rest of the battle, my cav is doing amazing here. They're winning this fight. They're going to wrap up, kill his general very soon. He's got some Galatians in the mix, but because they're coming in at this angle, I'm going to actually be able to clean up all the cav and then just disengage. His infantry line guys, I shattered 6 Galatian Royal Guards with 2 units of elephants and 2 units of Praetorian Cavalry. That has to be one of the most cost-effective ways to deal with Galatians that at least I've experimented with. I'm using one of my skirmish cav to keep fighting against this chariot. This chariot has gotten 79 kills, which is actually not that much. People have been saying chariots aren't very viable online, but if you've seen competitive play at all, or you're playing at a high level on the ladder, you know more than anyone that chariots are a very formidable tool. So my cav has been victorious in this side. Look how I'm just going to continue surrounding. I'm going to sacrifice one of my Soke Equites and try my hardest to kill his Ptolemaic cav in this area. There we go. It's worth noting that my elephants and my Praetorian guard, they both got lots of kills, but in the end they're not going to be able to beat these 6 Royal Galatians. But look at these numbers. These units are still fresh, that is correct. However, they don't have any numbers left. They have been almost across the board. They've lost half of their men, except maybe some of the units on the periphery. And look what's going to happen here. See, my general's coming in. My general's down to 5 men, actually. This was really dangerous, but I'm fighting this cav. Look, I'm dropping Intimidate, and I'm dropping Warcry on this Ptolemaic cav, and I'm shooting at it with everything I've got now. And I want it to rout. I need it to rout. It routes, and look what's going to happen in a little bit. Do I see this? Do I see this? No, see, I'm busy microing my slingers away. I see this now. I'm pulling out. And this guy is becoming way too isolated. When you're stretched out like this, you actually take less fire. But in this particular situation, it doesn't really matter. I've just microed my slingers too well for him. And I'm going to pull my cav out in 2 different directions. Still got a slinger here. I just got to keep my general outside of his slinger's range. And really away from battle, because my general is pretty fidgety right now because he lost so many of his bodyguard. But he did a crucial role in this fight. He only killed 3 men, but he stopped those chariots from taking out my slingers. These guys are way too stretched out. And I'm just going to trample charge. And another trample follow-up. And I'm going to swing one of my Ptolemaics around. This Galatian is not going to enjoy its time. So I know that one is done now. I'm starting to reorganize my guys. I still have 2 shock cavalry on this side. All of my shock cav, or most of my shock cav actually, is exhausted though, so I can't really be using them as effectively to slam into my opponent. If they were fresh, I would just pick a target and just slam frontally. Try to do cycle charges, but I have enough slingers fighting against enough exhausted heavy infantry troops that I can kite all day, all night. And see, this is the result of these guys grinding it out against Elephants and Praetorian Cavalry. They've won, but the Praetorian Cav and the Elephants have done the job. They've allowed me to bring these guys' HP down so much that they're taking this kind of damage in the late game. So this was the Roman skirmish style. This is one of the various styles that you can play Rome as. Obviously, as is the case with any build that tries to get greedy on one side, this build obviously is trying to use lots of missiles and cav. If my opponent brought lots of shock cav and minimal infantry, he would have obviously beaten me because he has better shock cav. Even though I have more cost-effective shock cav, he would have been able to overall win the day. And you could see how an Egypt build with some Rhodian slingers, some Ptolemaic cav, and some chariots might be something that's very scary. So I'm just trying here to take this mercenary Rhodian slinger out of the game. He's targeting my cavalry. It's actually a smart decision. But look, I'm not even interested in targeting his slingers with my infantry, with my skirmish. I end up just doing a quick charge against these guys, and I'm gonna pull right on out from that engagement. At this stage, my opponent started calling me a noob and that I had no honor. Things of that nature, but don't really need honor on ladder. And this build was tourney safe, so it's not like I completely spammed. Anyway, so now his units are very depleted. They're all concerned. They're being just absolutely devastated with these volleys, and I'm just gonna be able to surround and attack. He's going into a tighter formation. It doesn't really matter what he does at this turn. He's just getting absolutely pummeled from all areas. And with all this low HP, a charge is just going to be deadly. And you can see my opponent isn't maybe aware of the bracing mechanic. And if you haven't checked out the most recent Heir of Carthage video, the one that he did about bracing, and lots of Zaript's early bracing stuff, and I think I even covered some bracing. Bracing is very important in Total War Rome 2. It's not like Shogun where you could kind of throw your Yariash at a cav unit and expect to win in any situation. You actually have to be stationary to take strong heavy cav charges. But I hope you guys enjoyed this Roman skirmish style. If you have any more suggestions or would like to see any more builds in the future, please do let me know in the comment section below. And if you enjoyed the video, help me get 100 likes, because if I can get 100 likes on every one of the videos that I put out, guys, that's just gonna motivate me to infinity. Like, it's just gonna propel me forward and allow me to keep making videos, maybe daily. So, thanks for watching, guys, and I'm gonna splash the results screen at you. Yeah, see you next time.